All right, let's talk about something that's, well, it's pretty tough. It's a question that you see popping up all through history, and it's as uncomfortable as it is important. Why on earth do people obey bad leaders? Today, we're going to get into the psychology of it all.
I mean, really think about that. Why do good, smart, decent people end up following someone who lies or manipulates or even destroys things? It kind of messes with our whole idea of good versus evil, right? Because the answer, well, it's way more complicated than you'd think.
So let's just dive right in. The thing to get your head around is that bad leadership isn't just about one broken person at the top. It's about all the people who, for a whole bunch of really deep psychological reasons, choose to follow them. They are lifted. It's about the powerful stuff going on inside all of us.
So our journey here, it actually starts by looking inward. The number one reason people obey often has nothing to do with being evil, but everything to do with a really human desire to just get a break from a heavy burden.
You know, when you stop and think about it, being truly responsible is exhausting. It means you have to constantly think for yourself, make tough calls, and yeah, take the blame when things go south. And then along comes a bad leader who offers this incredibly simple, tempting deal. Just give me your power and I'll take all that weight off your shoulders. And this, right here, this is the deal laid bare. It's a trade, you know? Control in exchange for comfort. When somebody else is calling the shots, you feel lighter. You can stop second-guessing yourself. You can stop wrestling with all these complex problems. It's like a psychological escape hatch. Okay, so beyond that feeling of relief, there's something way more primal going on. Just plain fear. Bad leaders are absolute masters at creating an atmosphere where speaking up feels incredibly dangerous. You fear losing your job, your status, maybe even your safety. And in that kind of environment, let's be real, obedience isn't about loyalty anymore. It's about survival.
But it's not just what's happening inside our own heads. There are these huge, powerful forces on the outside, pushing us to obey, a lot of times without us even noticing it. I mean, since we were kids, we're basically trained to respect authority, right? Parents, teachers, bosses. This wires a little shortcut in our brains called authority bias. Our default setting is just to assume the person in charge knows what they're doing. It's why we automatically trust a doctor in a white lab coat. To question them feels weird, but to obey, that just feels automatic.
And here's another thing about us humans. We are social animals through and through. That fear of being cast out, of being isolated, it can literally be more powerful than our own moral compass. When everyone around you is just going along with something, stepping out of that line feels terrifying. So a lot of the time, it's just easier to put up with injustice than it is to face being all alone.
Now, this is one of the most powerful tools in a bad leader's entire playbook: manipulating our identity. They create this incredibly strong us versus them story. And suddenly, your personal identity gets fused with the group's identity. Obeying feels like loyalty, and having any doubt feels like a deep personal betrayal, not just of the leader, but of your entire tribe.
Now, it's so important to get this. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to be obedient. No, it's more like a journey down a really slippery slope, and you take it one tiny step at a time.
This whole process is so insidious. It kicks off with one little compromise, something you can easily explain away. Then comes another one and another, and each step you take just makes the next one that much easier. Over time, your whole moral baseline just shifts. You get desensitized. And the thing that would have horrified you a year ago now just feels normal. And before you know it, you're complicit in something you never, ever would have imagined.
And, you know, we have to be honest about another painful truth here. Sometimes people obey for a really simple reason: because it benefits them. Staying loyal might mean you get a promotion, or you get protected, or you get special access to things. It's a cold, hard calculation where what you gain personally outweighs your moral objections. And the silence that follows, that just makes the bad leader even stronger. And then there's hope. This belief that, oh, things will get better, or the leader will eventually change, or this is just a phase. But this kind of hope, it can be a trap. It actually encourages you to do nothing, to just wait for that perfect moment to stand up for what's right. A moment that, surprise, never actually comes. So, after digging into all these psychological forces that pull us towards being obedient, we have to ask the biggest question of all. How does it stop? Where's the off-ramp? What's the turning point?
This right here is the fundamental truth of it all. The power a bad leader has isn't something they're born with. It's something that is given to them. It is built brick by brick on the foundation of our quiet, polite, and totally justified surrender.
So if power is given, that means it can also be taken away. But how? What does that actually look like? Well, it starts with making a series of very conscious, very personal decisions.
The end of obedience begins the moment you decide to take back ownership of your own conscience. It's when you realize that being silent isn't neutral. It's an action, and it's an action that props up the way things are. It's that deliberate and, often really difficult choice to put courage ahead of the easy path of just being comfortable. But let's not pretend choosing courage is simple. It's absolutely crucial that we're upfront about this. Standing up, speaking out, and resisting, all of that comes with a very real price tag.
And honestly, this is the hardest part. Resisting can mean losing friends, losing that feeling of security, losing your spot in the tribe. It means you have to be willing to stand alone, and that goes against some of our deepest human instincts. The fear of this loss, right here, this is what keeps so many people so silent. But here's the bottom line. While being obedient might feel safe in the moment, it's also forgotten. History is written by the ones who dared to be brave, who chose to stand for something even when it was incredibly hard. A legacy that is forged in resistance, never in compliance. And that really brings us to our final thought here. If anything we've talked about today has made you feel a little uncomfortable, that is not a bad thing. In fact, that feeling isn't something to push away. It's a signal. It's your own awareness waking up. And that awareness, that is the very first step. That is where all resistance begins.